As Canadians, how does our perception and emotion affect our judgment on Canada's Arctic sovereignty claim? This was the question that I had chosen to answer for my presentation. After having gone over the basic historical significance of this issue, as well as bringing in several sources to evaluate Arctic sovereignty, we can now come to a conclusion. Yes, perception and emotion heavily affects our judgment. From an ordinary Canadian citizen's perspective, this issue is seldom heard of, except occasionally in the news. Thus, the citizen has to rely mostly on their emotions, considering that reason and language don't play a huge part in this topic. Their emotions most likely tell them that the Arctic is a part of Canada's national heritage, having heard in our national anthem of "The True North, Strong and Free" many times. Thus, they are confused as to why this topic would be so highly debated too. Isn't Canada the rightful owner of the entire Arctic? Now, let's explore a typical politician's perspective. Continuing along with the stigma that politicians know both everything and nothing at the same time, let us see what differentiates them from the ordinary citizen. As we found out in the presentation earlier, they are merely clever with words in order to appeal to popular opinion on the Arctic, manipulating Hans Island, a piece of rock 1.3 kilometers wide, to their advantage. Their reasoning is flawed, having never mentioned that Canada actually has already claimed large areas of undisputed land, but choosing to argue for a tiny detail in the grand scheme of things. And then we have what appears to be the true source of knowledge, reputable authors who have done years of research into the Arctic. Their claims are rarely heard, as they often contradict the status quo. However, it truly is necessary for us to learn the truth, as how can a society progress based off of lies? Certainly, we cannot rely on people like politicians as a source of knowledge, having led people to believe Canada is in the race for vast treasures waiting to be found on a piece of rock, which is far from the case. Thus, there we have it. Arctic sovereignty is an issue that appears much greater than it really is. We can conclude by stating that Canadians should be more informed on this issue, as Stephen Harper, our Prime Minister, has recently alluded to. We need to be told what the facts are, so that we can formulate our own opinions regarding this issue. When this occurs, we might then finally be able to say that we share the same angle of perception and critical thinking as achieved by experts such as Michael Byers and Sheila Grant.